In 2018, we were treated to the movie The Meg. Now we have MEG 2, The Trench, the long-awaited sequel to that movie. Here I am with my review for you. Is this a film that has some bite, or is it just left to flounder? Let's find out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my review for The Meg 2. Yes, long time coming. 2018 for that first film. And, well, we've had COVID since then. And this film was subsequently delayed and took its time coming to us. Obviously Jason Statham returns as Jonas Taylor in this here sequel, The Meg 2, The Trench, rated 12A, with a runtime of 1 hour and 56 minutes and directed by Ben Wheatley, who has had some small directing gigs prior to this. He directed a couple of episodes of Doctor Who and some other stuff as well. The film was written by John Hober, Eric Hober and Dean Georgaris. Butchered that name, ain't I? It's based upon the novels by Stephen Altman. Now, the second Meg book is called The Trench. There's about 5 or 6 Meg books. This one loosely adapts that second book. So this is set 4 years after that initial story, that first film. We're introduced to Jason Statham as an action man now. He's a sort of hero and he's on this cargo ship. He smuggled himself on board inside a shipping container and cuts his way out because this this vessel is dumping toxic waste at sea, and he's kind of like a Greenpeace activist or something. He gets rescued off of this boat by his colleagues from the first film. A couple of them at least. They pick him up in a big plane, much akin to the one that Jason Statham's flying in The Expendables. They come down, take him out of the ocean in it, and this sort of ludicrousness. This is where it starts getting into the book. We're introduced to this facility, this big facility, and they've got a Meg in captivity. Where's this come from? I don't know. But the backstory is that this fella, who's the uncle to Mei Ling, who's the young girl in the first film, and the brother to Jonas's love interest in that first film, he's built this facility. He's got a Meg that he's raised from a pup because they found it as a young Meg. And he believes he's got trust with this Meg. Yeah. Now Mei Ling, she's there. She's grown up. Same girl from the first film. Shuya Sophia Kai, I believe her name is. And her mother's now passed away. She's died between the two films, so they've got her out of the way, but she's been replaced by this sort of surrogate father figure. She's got Jonas, but she's also got her uncle as well. We've also got Cliff Curtis returning as Mac. He's working there as well, as is Paige Kennedy as DJ, who was the black fella in the first film who couldn't swim, if you recall. Now, all these characters have had a rewrite. They come across as different people than what they were in the first film, but we'll come into that. So the story progresses, and they've now developed these new submarines that can go down underneath the thermocline to explore that deepest depths of the ocean where these Megs come from. They've got these suits that they can, sci-fi style suits that they can dress in and survive the pressures of the deep and walk around on the bottom of the ocean. And they go down. Jonas, you know, all these people go down there. Only to discover there's actually a mining operation in progress. There's a facility that's been built down there. And they're mining for these sort of ores that will make them billionaires, people billionaires, and all this sort of a thing. And an explosion happens, and it causes a massive big hole in the in that layer of mist, whatever you want to call it, thermos clear or whatever they call it. Anyway, so this opens that up, massive big hole, everything can come out. Okay, so this film's set in two halves. The first half of the film is set all underneath the ocean, down here where you got a load of MEGs, got all these other creatures, all this sort of a thing. And the second half of the film is more akin to what the first MEG film was like, set out in the ocean, a place where there's tourists and partying, 3 MEGs to deal with. Not only that, massive big octopusy type thing, or squid, whatever it may be, and these other little dinosaurs that are introduced at the beginning of the film. So there's loads going on. There's loads going on. I won't go too much into the story beyond this sort of a thing. But yes, so this film here, number one, it looks fabulous. It really does. The money's up there on the screen. The special effects are top notch. It looks great. The sharks look better than what they did in the first film. The problem comes down to the writing of the characters. Right, now not at any point did I feel that any of the characters, the primary cast, the returning ones from the first film, did I feel that they were in any danger whatsoever. In fact, every single one of them has been written like action heroes. Each one of them get in on the action. And I was sat there thinking, when it came to DJ's character, the black fella, that, you know, he's running around like Action Man. He's doing martial arts on people, and this is the geezer in the first film that was scared of you know, scared of the water. But he has a throwaway line where he says, well, after the events of the last film, essentially, I've gone on, I've taught myself how to fight, I've taught this, I've taught that. Complete character rewrite. Each character has, even Jonas himself, comes across as a different character than what he was in that first film. That's a bit annoying. That's a bit annoying. Now, like I said, this film has a lot to deal with. Not only does it have the MEGs, it has this giant octopus, 3 MEGs, giant octopus, and these other creatures, these dinosaurs that are like dog size, and they're introduced at the beginning of the film. And you've seen this scene in the trailer. Which is straight out of the books, kind of. The book for this film does open up in the past with the MEG attacking a T-Rex and this sort of a thing. But here, these creatures, these little creatures that you're introduced to at the beginning of the film, that you've seen in the trailer, they're still existing down underneath the water. They can live underwater, and they've stayed that way for 65 million years, I suppose. Not adapted in any way. They've still got legs, they can run around on the land. It ain't like they've adapted to have fins or anything. Silliness like this going on. The fact that you've introduced 3 MEGs, it doesn't make the stakes bigger or any different than the first film. In fact, in the first film, you thought that you feel that the stakes were somewhat bigger, harder to kill the MEG, this sort of a thing. In this, the MEGs are relatively easily to dispatch of as the story requires. Like I said, it doesn't feel in any way that that, you know, they feel like more of a hindrance, shall we say, than anything else. Now, this film, like I said, loosely based upon the novel, really very, very loosely. The novel is, they have got a MEG in captivity from the first book, and in this, it's in captivity, and like the book, it manages to escape. In the book, it's quite difficult. It's working at it for quite a while to escape until it manages to escape. In this, it's just done. It's done, it escapes, and then it turns up where they are. So really sort of shoddy writing at the beginning of the film to get the movie to where it needs to be. It isn't very well written at all. You know, you've got ludicrous things like Jonas. He goes for a swim outside this facility at the bottom of the trench. This is the Mariana Trench. This is the deepest point on Earth. He goes for a swim unaided outside of this facility. And something about he can survive it because all he's got to do is get rid of the oxygen out of him, because it's the oxygen that compresses, not the human body. This sort of nonsense. This sort of stuff goes on. It's a fun film, though. It's a fun film. It's ludicrous. It's stupid. It's nonsensical in what you're watching, but it's fun. You know, 2 hours pass by very fast. It's very fast paced, but the problem is there's too much thrown at the screen, just way too much up there. You know, you didn't need these little dinosaurs running around. You didn't need the big octopus. In fact, in the book, sorry, you haven't got a big octopus or these little things. It's more of a more akin to what Loch Ness Monster would look like, big bodied with fins, long neck, but sort of crocodile head on the end type of a thing like that. I don't know what you'd call them. Been a while since I've read that book, but yeah, so it's a fun movie. It looks great. It's stupidly written. It's everything you want from a summer blockbuster. This is a film where you go in, you watch and you enjoy, and you just leave your brain at the door. You don't need to engage. In fact, it's best to go in lobotomised beforehand, because so you don't notice all this stupidness that is actually going on in the film and questioning it. The film is left open for a third. Obviously it is. And there's rogues of bad guys in the film. This is the other thing I had issue with. It's not just you're dealing with nature and the animals. You've actually got people running around with guns and people fighting with guns and this sort of nonsense in it. So you've got all these elements thrown at you. Sharks, four-legged dinosaurs, octopus, people with guns. Everyone is an action hero. It's just let's just do everything. Let's just throw it all at the screen and see what sticks, kind of a scenario. To the detriment of the film, I feel. Obviously, it's a film that I'll get on 4K. It's a film that I will pick up on day one release. It's not the best of films, though. It's just go in, numb your brain before you watch this film. Seriously, go in and just think to yourself, I'm going to watch the biggest, stupidest nonsense that's ever been committed to celluloid. It's not even celluloid, it's you know what I'm saying, that's just a phrase. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous but fun. What more can I say?